We have to focus on expanding the number of positive interactions. So notice how I'm not saying, let's identify the problem. Let's discover exactly what's wrong, what the patterns are. That's part of it, a little bit of identifying, here's the old story of our marriage and here's what I'd like the new story to be, right? That's the vision, is the new story. But we're not going to be able to really change the problems, fix the problems, untangle the problems, analyze the problems until we first have a little goodwill between us. Because usually by the time people come to me, they're in crisis, they're on the brink, one person's already leaning out and they don't even want to have a conversation with anybody else, right? So there's just one person who's fighting for the marriage. So there has to be a certain foundation first before you can tackle the problems, or all you're going to do is play into the same patterns that got you here in the first place. So rather than focusing on the problems first, you might know what they are, but you put a pin in them. And instead you think, how can I expand the number of positive interactions in our relationship so that these problems feel marginal in comparison? The ratio, obviously, I've talked about this before, is 5-to-1 or higher. This is Dr. John Gottman's ratio. He discovered this in his longitudinal research, that by the time you get to 5-to-1 or higher, you are now on stable footing. Now, happy marriages have 20-to-1. So, that's just the minimum. But if you're in a relationship where you're 50-50, where you're like, well, half the time it's really great, half the time it's horrible, right? That is not good. That means that you're on shaky ground and that statistically you are not likely to stay together from the research. So the most important thing is to understand, what is it that constitutes a positive interaction for my spouse? What constitutes a positive interaction for myself? And how can I start to build those in?